There's something uniquely unsettling about the internet at night. During the day, everything feels loud, crowded, harmless. Notifications, videos, comments, endless scrolling. It all blends into a kind of digital white noise. But past a certain hour, when your room is quiet and your screen is the only light left on, the same internet starts to feel different, slower, quieter, like you're not supposed to be there anymore. Most people don't notice that shift, or they ignore it. They keep browsing, clicking whatever looks interesting, drifting from one link to another without thinking too much about where they're going. That's the thing about the internet. It doesn't really have edges. You can always go a little deeper, one more page, one more video, one more site you've never heard of before. And sometimes, that's exactly how people end up somewhere they shouldn't be. I didn't believe in haunted websites before any of this. It sounded like one of those fake chain emails from the early 2000s. You know the kind. Send this to 10 people or something bad will happen. It always felt like cheap horror, predictable, easy to laugh off. But then my friend Caleb sent me a link at 2:13 in the morning. No context, no message, just a URL. That alone should have been enough to make me ignore it. Caleb wasn't the type to text late unless it was important, and even then he'd say something, a warning, a joke, anything. But this was just a bare link sitting in my notifications like it had been dropped there by accident. I stared at it for a while before opening it. I don't know why. Curiosity, I guess. Or maybe it was the time of night, that strange quiet feeling that makes bad decisions seem smaller than they are. The site took a long time to load. Not in a normal way either. It wasn't buffering or lagging. The page was just blank, completely white, like it hadn't finished rendering yet. I almost closed it, thinking the link was broken, when text suddenly appeared in the center of the screen. You came alone, right? I remember frowning at that. It felt like a joke, something Caleb would think was funny, maybe part of some weird ARG or horror game he'd found online. I even smiled a little, expecting something clever to follow. Then the text changed. Don't lie, I didn't type anything. There wasn't even a place to type. No cursor, no input box, nothing. Just those words, sitting there, like they were waiting for me to react. My first instinct was to check if the site had access to my camera or microphone. It didn't ask for permission. No pop-ups, no alerts. Still, I covered my webcam with my thumb without really thinking about it. The page flickered. For a split second, I saw something behind the text. Not clearly, just a darker shape, like a shadow moving across the white background. Then it was gone. I told myself it was just my eyes adjusting, or maybe the screen glitching. Either way, I stayed. That was mistake number one. A new line appeared under the first. Good. Less noise that way. I felt a small, sharp knot form in my stomach. Not fear exactly, more like discomfort. The kind you get when something doesn't quite make sense, but you can't explain why. I grabbed my phone and texted Caleb back. What is this? The message delivered, but he didn't respond. Meanwhile, the site kept updating. You should turn your sound off. That one made me hesitate. It wasn't phrased like a threat. It sounded considerate, like advice. And for some reason that made it worse. I didn't turn the sound off. Instead, I turned it up just a little. I don't know what I was expecting. A jump scare maybe, a loud noise, something obvious. Something I could laugh at afterward and call stupid. What I got was silence. Not normal silence either. There was this faint, almost inaudible hum coming from my speakers. So quiet I wasn't even sure it was real at first. It sounded like distant static, or maybe breathing. Slow. Uneven, just barely there. I leaned closer to the screen. The text changed again. I told you not to. That's when I finally closed the tab, just like that, no hesitation. Whatever curiosity had pulled me in was gone, replaced by a very clear, very simple instinct to stop. For a few seconds, I just sat there, staring at my desktop. Everything looked normal again. My room felt normal. The silence was back to what it had been before. I even laughed a little, trying to shake off the tension. Okay, I muttered. That was weird. My phone buzzed. Caleb finally replied. Did you open it? I typed back immediately. Yeah, what is it? There was a pause, long enough to feel intentional. Then 3 dots appeared, disappeared, came back again. Finally, his response came through. You weren't supposed to. I felt that knot in my stomach tighten. What do you mean? This time, he answered right away. I sent that yesterday. I stared at the message, trying to process it. That's not funny, I wrote. I'm not joking, he replied. Check the timestamp. I did. 2:13 a.m., but the date wasn't today. It was from the night before. I was still looking at the screen when another message came in. I think it only works at night. I called him immediately after that. He picked up on the second ring, which somehow made everything feel worse. Caleb was the kind of person who never answered calls right away, especially not at night. Usually, you'd get a text first. What's up? Or can it wait? But this time, no hesitation. Tell me exactly what you saw, he said, before I could even say hello. I leaned back in my chair, staring at my dark monitor like the site might somehow come back on its own. It was just a blank page at first, then text started showing up. It talked to me. There was a pause on the other end. I could hear him breathing, slow and controlled, like he was trying not to react too strongly. What did it say? He asked. I told him, every line I could remember. You came alone, right? Don't lie. You should turn your sound off. I even mentioned the faint noise I thought I heard. When I finished, Caleb let out a quiet curse under his breath. Okay, he said. Yeah, that's the same one. The same as what? I asked. Another pause, longer this time. There are 5 of them, he said finally. At least that's what people say. 5 websites that only work at night. I almost laughed again, but something in his tone stopped me. Caleb wasn't playing this up. If anything, he sounded like he was holding back. You're serious, I said. Dead serious. That's stupid, Caleb. It's just some scripted page, like a horror game or... No, he cut in. That's what I thought too, but it's not scripted. It changes. I frowned. Lots of sites change. Not like this, he said. Not based on things you didn't tell it. That made me hesitate. I glanced at my laptop again, half expecting the screen to flicker back to life. It asked if I was alone, I said slowly. And were you? Yeah. Then that's why it said, good, he replied. Mine didn't. A chill ran down my arms. What do you mean? I had my TV on in the background, Caleb said. Low volume. I didn't think it mattered. And the first thing it said to me was too much noise. I didn't respond right away. Caleb, I said after a moment, you're messing with me. I wish I was. There was a strange sincerity in his voice that I couldn't ignore. Where did you even find this? I asked. I didn't, he said. Someone sent it to me. Who? I don't know. Just a username. No profile picture, no history. They sent the link and one message. What message? He hesitated. Start with this one, he said. Something about that phrasing stuck with me. Start with this one, like there was an order, like it wasn't random. So there are 4 more? I asked. Yeah, Caleb said, and they get worse. I rolled my eyes, even though he couldn't see it. Of course they do. I'm serious, he insisted. The first one is just watching. The others actually do things. That's vague, I said. I know, he replied. That's the problem. No one explains them clearly. It's always secondhand stories, forum posts, deleted threads, stuff that disappears after a while. That caught my attention. Disappears? Yeah, he said. Like people talk about these sites, and then the posts get taken down, or the accounts vanish, or the links stop working. Okay, that just sounds like internet rumors, I said. Creepypasta stuff. Yeah, he said quietly. That's what this is supposed to be. I didn't like the way he said supposed to. I rubbed my eyes, suddenly aware of how tired I felt. The clock on my desk read 2:41 a.m., too late for this kind of conversation. All right, I said. Let's say I believe you. What's the deal with the one you sent me? Caleb exhaled slowly. That's the first site, he said. People call it the visitor check. It's like an entry point. Entry to what? I don't know, he admitted. But everyone who's looked into the others says you're not supposed to skip it. I let that sit for a second. And you decided to send it to me because? I asked. I didn't, he said quickly. Not tonight. Like I said, I sent that yesterday. Yeah, but I didn't send it at 2:13 a.m., he interrupted. I sent it in the afternoon, around 4. I felt my chest tighten slightly. That's not what my phone says. I know. We both went quiet after that. It's one thing to hear something creepy. It's another to have proof sitting right in front of you, something small but concrete that doesn't line up. Okay, I said finally. So either my phone glitched, or yours did, or it didn't show up until you were supposed to see it, Caleb finished. I didn't respond, because as much as I wanted to dismiss that idea, I couldn't fully shake it. Did anything else happen after you closed the site? He asked. I thought back. The silence, my desktop, the message. No, I said, just your texts. Good, he said. That's good. Why? Because sometimes it doesn't stop when you close it. That landed heavier than anything else he'd said so far. What does that mean? I asked. But before he could answer, my laptop made a soft sound. Not a notification, not an alert, just a click, like something had opened. Slowly, I turned my head. The screen was on again. I was absolutely sure I hadn't touched it. There was no browser visible at first, just my desktop background. Then, one by one, letters began to appear in the center of the screen. Not in a window, not in any program, just on the screen itself. You left too early. My throat went dry. Caleb was still talking on the phone, but his voice sounded distant now, like it was coming from another room. What's wrong? He was saying. What happened? I swallowed hard, staring at the words as they continued to form. We weren't finished. I think it's still open, I whispered. What? Caleb said sharply. I closed it, but it's... The text shifted. Bring a friend next time. The screen flickered once, then it went black again. I didn't sleep after that. I tried. I really did. I shut my laptop completely, turned off my phone, even unplugged my router, like that would somehow cut me off from whatever I'd just interacted with. But it didn't matter. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those words again, forming slowly on the screen, like they had all the time in the world. You left too early. We weren't finished. Bring a friend next time. By the time morning came, I'd convinced myself it was some kind of elaborate prank. Not a good one, not even a particularly clever one, but something grounded in reality. A delayed message, a glitch, a script running locally. Something that made sense if I looked at it the right way. That explanation held together for exactly 3 hours. At 11:16 a.m., Caleb sent me another link. This time, there was a message with it. Don't open this one. I stared at my phone for a long moment. Then I typed back. Then why send it? The reply came almost instantly. Because I didn't send it, I felt that same tight, sinking sensation in my chest. Check the timestamp, he added. I already knew what I was going to see. 2:13 a.m. Again. Same time as before. I looked up from my phone, half expecting something in my room to be different. Out of place, watching me, but everything was normal. Sunlight through the window, faint noise from outside, the kind of ordinary daytime atmosphere that makes last night feel like a bad dream, except for the link still sitting on my screen. What's the second one? I asked. There was a longer pause this time. When Caleb finally responded, his message was shorter than I expected. People call it the mirror site. That name alone was enough to make me hesitate. What does it do? I asked. Another pause. Then, it shows you something. That's not helpful. I know, he said. That's all anyone ever says before they stop posting. I frowned. Stop posting? Yeah, he said. Threads about this one don't last long. Either they get deleted or the person just disappears. I exhaled slowly, trying to keep myself grounded. Okay, but you've looked at it, right? I asked. No, why not? Because I made it through the first one, he said, and that was enough. I glanced at the link again. It didn't look special, just a string of letters and numbers like any other URL. No obvious warning signs, no hint of what was behind it. Then how do you know about it? I asked. I told you, he said. Forums, old posts, people comparing notes before everything vanishes. And you believe them? I didn't, he admitted. Not until last night. That was fair. I leaned back in my chair, thinking. Part of me wanted to ignore it, delete the message, block whatever number or account was sending these links, and move on. Pretend none of this ever happened, but another part of me, the same part that clicked the first link, was already reaching for the door. You said there are 5, I said. Yeah, and people aren't supposed to skip them. Right, I hesitated. Then I said, stay on the phone with me. Caleb didn't answer right away. I'm serious, I added. If this is some kind of interactive thing, then fine. We'll treat it like that. You said yours reacted differently because of background noise, right? So maybe it matters if someone else is there. That's not what I meant, he said. I know, I replied. But the last thing it said was, bring a friend. So I am. There was a long silence on the other end. Finally, he sighed. I don't think that's a good idea. Probably not, I said. But I'm doing it anyway. Another pause. Okay, he said reluctantly. I'm here. I opened my laptop again. For a second, I just stared at the screen, half expecting something to already be there, but it was normal, blank, safe. Then I clicked the link. The page loaded instantly this time. No delay, no blank screen, just a dark background, almost completely black, with a single line of text at the top. Face the screen. That's it, I said. For now, Caleb replied. I adjusted my position slightly, sitting up straighter. Okay, I said. I'm facing it. Nothing happened. A few seconds passed, then a second line appeared. Closer, I leaned in. Closer, Caleb echoed quietly, like he didn't want to, but couldn't stop himself. I moved my chair forward until my face was just a foot or so from the screen. The black background shifted. At first, I thought it was just my reflection, a faint outline of my face staring back at me. But it was too clear, too sharp. The lighting didn't match my room. Do you see anything? Caleb asked. Yeah, I said slowly. It's like a mirror. That's when the image blinked. Not like a screen flicker, like a person blinking. I froze, because I hadn't blinked. Okay, I said, my voice tightening. That's not... Don't move, Caleb said quickly. I didn't... Just don't move. The reflection on the screen tilted its head slightly to the side. I didn't. My stomach dropped. Caleb, I whispered, it's not copying me. What do you mean? It's moving on its own. The thing on the screen leaned closer, closer than physically possible, like it was pressing against the inside of the display. Its face, my face, was wrong, not in an obvious way. Everything was in the right place, eyes, nose, mouth, but the expression didn't match. There was something behind it, something that felt aware. Smile, the text appeared. I'm not doing that, I said immediately. Don't, Caleb agreed. The reflection smiled anyway. Wide, slow, deliberate. I felt my own lips stay perfectly still. Okay, close it, Caleb said. Close it, or close it now. I reached for the trackpad. The reflection's hand moved too, but not in sync. It was faster. It pressed against the inside of the screen, fingers splayed like it was trying to push through. Wait! The text appeared. I froze again. Don't you want to see? See what? I said, before I could stop myself. There was a brief pause, then the screen went completely black. For a second, I thought it was over. Then the image came back, but it wasn't my reflection anymore. It was my room. From behind me, I could see my chair, my desk, the back of my head, and something standing in the doorway. I didn't turn around. I know that sounds stupid. Everything in me was screaming to look, to confirm what I was seeing, to prove to myself that it wasn't real. But something stronger, something colder, held me in place. Because the screen wasn't guessing, it wasn't approximating, it was showing my room exactly as it was, down to the smallest details. The way my chair leaned slightly to the left, the stack of clothes near the wall, even the faint crack in the door frame I'd never bothered to fix. And in that doorway, there was something standing there. Tall, still, wrong. Do you see it? Caleb asked. His voice sounded thin, stretched tight with panic. Yeah, I whispered. What is it? I don't know. That was the worst part. If it had looked like a person, I could have explained it away. If it looked like some kind of monster, I could have called it a trick, a rendered image, something fake, but it didn't fully resemble anything I recognized. It was shaped like a person, but the proportions were off, too tall for the frame. Its head almost brushing the top of the doorway, its arms hanging too long at its sides, fingers extending just a little farther than they should, and its face. I couldn't make out its face, not because it was dark, because it didn't seem to stay the same long enough to focus on. Close it, Caleb said again, sharper this time. Close it right now. I can't, I said. My hand was still on the trackpad, but I hadn't moved it. On the screen, I watched myself sitting there, frozen, and behind that version of me, The thing in the doorway moved. Not forward, not backward, just closer, like it skipped the space in between. I felt the air in my room shift. Not physically. There was no breeze, no sound, just a pressure, like the atmosphere had thickened slightly. Hey, the text appeared on the screen again. Don't ignore me. The image flickered. Now the thing was right behind me. I could see it clearly on the screen. Its head tilted, mimicking the way the reflection had earlier. Its face, if you could call it that, was inches from the back of my head, still changing, still impossible to lock onto. Turn around, the text said. No, Caleb said immediately. Do not turn around. Close the laptop. I told you, I said, barely able to get the words out. I can't. Because now my hand wasn't just resting on the trackpad, it was stuck. Not physically, but I couldn't make it move. Just look, the text insisted. It's rude not to. I squeezed my eyes shut for a second, trying to break whatever hold this had on me. When I opened them again, the screen had changed. It was no longer showing my room. It was showing me, from the front. But I wasn't sitting anymore. I was standing, in the doorway, in the exact position the thing had been in before. My real body was still in the chair. I could feel it. But on the screen, I was somewhere else entirely. So, what's happening? Caleb asked, his voice cracking now. I swallowed. I think it's switching. Switching what? Before I could answer, the version of me on the screen smiled, the same wrong, slow smile from before. There you are, the text read. Behind that version of me, behind the one standing in the doorway, I could now see my room again. And in the chair, something else was sitting there, something wearing me. I felt my chest tighten as the realization hit. That's not me, I said. Then what is it? Caleb asked. I didn't answer because I already knew. Stay still, the text said. This won't hurt. That was a lie. Not in a physical sense, but in the way your mind reacts when it understands something it's not supposed to. The thing in my chair, wearing my face, tilted its head and placed its hand on the desk. My hand. It moved smoothly now. No resistance. No hesitation. On my side, I felt the pressure release. My fingers twitched. I could move again. Close it, Caleb shouted. This time I did. I slammed the laptop shut so hard the sound echoed in my room. Everything went silent. No text, no images, no hum. Just me sitting there, breathing too fast, staring at the dark surface of my laptop like it might open itself again. Are you there? Caleb asked. Yeah, I said. Is it gone? I think so. There was a long pause. Then he said, very quietly, that was the second one. I let out a shaky breath. Yeah, I said. I figured. Another pause. You need to stop, he said. Whatever this is, it's not a game. I looked down at my phone, then back at the laptop, at the faint reflection on its surface. For a split second, I thought I saw that same wrong smile again. Gone as soon as I noticed it. I don't think it's going to let me stop, I said. My phone buzzed in my hand. Another message, another link. 2:13 a.m. Caleb didn't need to ask. The third one? He said. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Yeah. There was only one line of text under the link this time. This one listens.